Good evening, folks. We're changing things up on how we do things on the 208 here on Friday evenings. Listen to this. We want to take some time on Fridays from now on to share some of the big stories that you, the viewers, had a lot to say about. On Fridays, this is your home for catching up on the week that was in Treasure Valley and the state of Idaho. We're going to answer some of your questions that we didn't get to this week. We're going to update you on some of your favorite 208 stories and dive in depth into topics that you want to hear more on. And this week, one of those major talkers that we're going to kick off the show with, the major tax cut being discussed at the Idaho State House. We've seen a lot of questions and comments on this one. So let's spell it all out for you together. So first, to begin our show, we're going to take a look at the ins and outs of the much talked about Idaho tax bill. Idaho lawmakers hit the ground running this week, and already they have a major tax bill to debate. Idaho Republicans are touting this new legislation as a simple give back and tax cut for Idahoans as the state sits on millions and millions in budget surplus dollars.
We've got inflation going crazy across the nation and across the state. It's important to get this money back to the people.
House Majority Leader Republican Mike Moyle is one of the sponsors of the tax bill. He says the bill will consolidate Idaho's income tax brackets from 5 down to 4 with the new lower rates of 1%, 3%, 4.5%, and 6% respectively for each bracket. Now, the highest tax bracket will be for people who make $5,000 and more. The bill would also lower the corporate income tax from 6.5% to 6%, and it also provides a one-time income tax rebate of $350 million, returning approximately 12% of Idaho taxes paid in 2020, or $75 for each taxpayer independent, whatever amount is greater.
Most people in Idaho are in that upper bracket, so we're taking care of most Idahoans with that bill. But it is, some people don't pay any taxes. It makes it hard to give back money when they don't pay taxes. That's why the bill's written the way it is, though. We do give them $75 for every man, woman, and child if they don't pay taxes.
Representative Moyle says with the budget surplus, Republicans simply want to give Idahoans their tax dollars back.
Get it to their hands so they can use it to kind of offset some of the costs that are going up now.
Idaho Democrats say they appreciate the idea, but that this tax bill doesn't help those who need it most.
Now we have an opportunity to prioritize working Idahoans and bolstering the middle class, and this tax bill would squander that opportunity.
Assistant House Minority Leader Democrat Lauren Necochea says the cuts would direct the largest benefits to the top of the income spectrum.
Idaho Democrats would love to see us take those dollars that we have that are available and put them into property tax reduction, and would also want to have a conversation about repealing the sales tax on groceries.
Necochea adds that the tax brackets proposed don't really translate to everyone giving a fair share.
Yeah, there's no reason why a millionaire should pay the same percentage of their tax as a teacher, and we would absolutely support expanding those tax brackets to make those adjustments.
Every man, woman, and child is going to get something. It's a good bill, and it's going to lower our tax rates, makes us more competitive nationwide. It's going to help the state of Idaho look better to bring businesses here, and it's going to help people stay in their homes and jobs and work here and stay here for their lives. It's going to make it better for Idahoans, which is a good thing.
Idaho Democrats argue the surplus being used for this cut really isn't a surplus, but instead the result of bad policies and investments.
We underfund a lot of the things that local government has to do and that schools have to do. So if we put more of that state funding and directed it to schools and local governments, we could reduce property taxes substantially, and that's what Idahoans are asking for.
Moyle says it doesn't have to be one or the other.
There's enough to do a lot of things that need to be done and want to be done for a long time.
And after a passionate and extended debate this week, the tax bill has now passed the Idaho House, essentially on a party line vote, Republicans supporting it, except for one. So it is now on to the Idaho Senate. And we spoke to House lawmakers for their take on the tax bill after it passed. And Republicans are applauding it, Dems raising some major questions. First, House Speaker Scott Bedke, a Republican, tells me that lawmakers in the Republican Party, they feel like this is a good compromise on the tax bill, and they say it's really in step with Governor Little's idea on this topic.
We came with record surpluses. That money came from you, and to give it back, that which don't need to run essential services, it needs to be back in your pocket, not sitting in some account. Now, that's not to say that that we won't take care of business, and that we will, so we're not going to let the roads and bridges lapse, as was alleged maybe. We're going to take care of schools this year too.
Idaho Democrats are asking, is this really what Idahoans want? Critics of the tax bill, mostly Democrats at the State House, say that the money being given back, again, $600 million overall, well, they argue that that money could be put towards valuable state programs that need more funding, like education and infrastructure. I spoke with House Minority Leader Ilana Rubel earlier today. Here are her thoughts on the topic.
I suppose we probably could give all the tax cuts we want. We just have to let a few bridges fall down, but we don't want to do that. This really makes it impossible for, we think, a lot of other priorities to be pursued that, frankly, we think would help Idahoans a lot more and are a lot more in line with what Idahoans are telling us they want to see happen. I've heard from a lot of people about getting rid of the grocery tax and about lowering property taxes. I have heard from nobody saying they think our top priority should be to send $13,000 checks to millionaires.
So the tax bill now moves to the Idaho Senate, which would be the final hurdle that it would need to clear before the bill could possibly end up on Governor Little's desk. Republican leadership at the State House tells me this week that if this bill clears the Senate, they expect that Governor Little would sign the bill into law. It brings us to a viewer question about what would happen if this law passes. Jim R. writes to the 208 asking, will Social Security recipients get a $75 rebate since we don't pay any taxes? And you heard Representative Moyle reference this in the story. He says, you know, it's hard to give people money back who don't pay taxes. And there are people, for example, that are on Social Security. So the quick answer for you, Jim, yes. The answer to your question is yes. If passed, the tax rebates, again, would be for 12% of an individual's 2020 Idaho personal income tax return, or $75 for each taxpayer and dependent, whatever amount is greater. So, for example, if you and your wife or you and your husband, you're both at home living on Social Security, you don't have other income, and you file your taxes, you would each get $75 here. But a big key everyone needs to remember, make sure you're caught up on your taxes. April is right around the corner.